But now we're going to go through the techniques of how Olympians attack their goals and how you can attack yours. The first thing you need to do is find a goal setting framework that works best for you. There are so many goal setting frameworks out there, but I particularly love the Eisenhower idea. So I stands for inspiring. You have to be passionate about your goals. You should wake up in the morning knowing that's exactly what you want. D is for difficult. You want your goals to make you slightly uncomfortable so that you can push yourself and grow your limits. If you're able to do that, you can find more creative solutions to make the problems work. And then E is for explicit. You want to be very clear and concise about what it is. So if you write it down on a piece of paper, anyone can read it and know exactly what you want. Now, if yours isn't as explicit quite yet, make that your goal. Make it more important to you to understand the finite details. And let's say you want to write a book, but you're not really sure how or the topic. Go through LinkedIn, find people who have done this before and ask them if they can help guide you. Ask them for 5 minutes of their time. You never know if it just might work, and you can grow your network that way as well. And then A is for achievable. You have to be able to nearly or completely accomplish your goals. You want it to be within your own scope of talent. So to give 2 extreme ideas, because I love working with extremes, let's say I still have the biggest passion to become an Olympic gymnast. I'm inspired by it. I know it's difficult. It's extremely explicit, but I am 28 years old and I am 6 feet tall and I've still never had a proper gymnastics lesson in my life. That goal would not be worthwhile, not be worth my time moving forward. But if I look at another one, perhaps I want to become the next president of the United States. I'm a natural born citizen. I know that at some point I will turn 35. And if I work hard enough, I can find the funding and the networking to make it happen. Maybe not within the next 12 years, but after, I could make it work. You know, if it's achievable, it's explicit. I know it's difficult, but I am not inspired to do so. So when you're looking at this goal, be brave enough to know that you have what it takes to get through it, and then use your critical thinking skills to understand it if it is within your talent scope. But moving forward, if you have your goal, how do you know which mental muscles per se you need to strengthen in order to get there? So if you draw a simple scatter plot, where on one side it says talent, and on the other side it says effort, and at the very top you have your ultimate goal, where would you place yourself right now in accordance to your ultimate goal? I feel on this side with the effort, if you feel that you're trying harder than everyone else around you and they keep passing you up, you might be lacking some confidence. So within this bracket, this might be the mental muscle you need to work on more. On the other hand, if you're one of the most talented people in the group, so you don't really feel like you should try hard, you might be lacking some motivation. And both motivation and confidence are mental muscles, and there are exercises you can do to continue to strengthen them. But moving forward, let's look at other parts of that and how it can affect your mentality. So I will typically use a lot of different shapes when working with my scatter plot on this. I'll use a triangle for myself, which has some significance, and I'll show you in a second. I'll use a square as a mentor and a circle for a loved one. Now, I believe it's important to put other people in your scatter plot on how they think, or see how close they think you are. Put their opinions in there and see how it affects your mentality. Because it could have a detrimental effect or a positive effect, but understanding what it is and how to tweak it in your favor can make a big difference. So typically, at the beginning of every swim season, I will put myself a little bit lower, to be very honest. I'm trying really hard, but I feel kind of out of shape, so I don't feel that talented. So I'll go to my coach and I'll ask him, and he'll say, no, you're extremely talented. You just need to try harder. Now, how is that going to affect your mentality? I look at this at times and think, how dare he think that? I am working my butt off out here. How can he think I can show any more effort than I already am? And it'll make me angry until I calm down and realize he believes in me so much. And he knows that through time, I'll be able to dig deeper and find different ways to show different kinds of effort to improve that. So I'm going to trust his judgment and have it be for my benefit. Now, let's say you have someone else in your life that has unrealistic expectations. This would be my mom. I know she loves me, but she thinks I'm the most talented, hardworking athlete in the entire world, which most of the time in the cases isn't quite as true as I would like it to be, but she'll have it even above and beyond my ultimate goal. I could let the pressure of that cripple me, or I can understand that she means well and she's just trying to support me. Now do this, maybe use a couple of different people and continue to try and tweak and understand what it is to help you. Now, I would do this about 2 or 3 times a year. So if we scroll forward to the end of the season, this is more what my goal will look like. I'll be much closer to my goal. My coach will say I'm talented, but I still need to try harder. And my mother will congratulate me on my galaxy record. I'll inform her that's not a thing, but I appreciate her support. But moving forward, when you have that, start to think of what you think of yourself. There are 3 sides to how you maintain a healthy headspace, in my opinion. On one end, you have your present self. How do you see yourself as you are right now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you want to work on? How do you see your future self? What is that ultimate version of you that you're striving to be every day? Your future hero. And on the last right or the left side, how other people see you. Now this one is tricky because there are those who love you and support you and build you up, and you want to keep them close because they're a positive influence and they help you. And then of course there are those that do the opposite. They don't appreciate your existence. They're jealous of you. They don't want to see you succeed. They talk behind your back. They spread rumors. I think it's important to understand and know who they are so you can protect and guard your ego, because your head is a sacred space and no one belongs in there unless you allow them. This is for you and only you. So if you can understand that, perhaps you can be vulnerable enough to take it a step further when it comes to others, and perhaps try to understand why they think those negative things, because this can be an extraordinary opportunity for growth. And why I say that is because after making the Olympic team, I did not make very many friends very quickly, because the media gave me so much positive attention, because what a great story. A little girl from Mesa started swimming when she was 17 and then made the Olympic team when she was 20 and is bound to get an Olympic gold for Team USA. But on the other hand, Jessica Hardy, who was the current world record holder, who hadn't made an Olympic team yet, she was an American darling, best friends to so many people, I took her spot. She had spent her entire life and hundreds of thousands of dollars on this sport, and this girl who no one had heard of just took it. And it didn't really make a lot of people very happy. And when I was trying to explain to get it across, this ignorant confidence that I kept saying I was building came off as very cocky and conceited. Now, I didn't mean for it to come off that way. I was very young and I just wanted to seem and act like the Olympians should. And so after understanding that, I knew that it would become very important for me to take my brand and my image and make sure it's known that I'm very passionate. And that is not a conceited or cocky version of myself. It's just passion. I am passionate about helping people find their way through to their goals. I am passionate about working my hardest so that I can continue to go out there in the world, represent Team USA, and swim my heart out. It's passion. And I need to make sure that more people know that, and to come off as humble around younger kids and to come off as very kind with their parents. So knowing what others think of you can help you kind of readjust how you present yourself, which is a very, very good tool to have. So to kind of recap what we went through so far, write down your ultimate goal. Make sure it fits in a framework that you want to use. I prefer the Eisenhower idea, but there are a lot of really great frameworks out there. Next is to map out your current state on the X and Y axis between your talent and your effort. Add in a couple of people who support you and love you and see how their opinions affect your mentality. And then of course, assess it regularly so that you can see your progress. This next one is fun. This is the fire drill. So the fire drill, I'm going to stop sharing for a second to go through this because it's a lot of fun. The fire drill is a negative visualization technique that really helps you prepare for an upcoming presentation or event. So let's say you have a big speaking engagement that you have to do. I want you to think of the venue. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? What did you eat that morning? What are you wearing? Are your shoes comfortable? Can you stand in there for a long time? Now let's say you have 20 minutes before your event. So you quickly go over to your portfolio so you can look through your notes, and then you open it up and your notes are missing. It's okay. We knew this might happen. So we put a backup on Google Docs and emailed ourselves just in case. Crisis averted. Now, 15 minutes before, you quickly go use the restroom. But before you leave, you realize that you look a little disheveled. Your breakfast is in your teeth, your hair is a mess, and you have dog hair on your clothes, and you don't even own a dog. It's okay. You knew this might happen. So you brought some floss, a comb, and a lint roller just in case. Crisis averted. Now, 10 minutes before, the adrenaline kicks in and you start to feel sick. Your palms are sweating, you're shaking, your stomach feels off. It's okay. We knew this would happen. This always happens before big events. So we brought a handkerchief to dry our hands. We have breathing exercises to lower our heart rate. And we brought Pepto-Bismol to settle our stomach just in case. Crisis averted. Now, 5 minutes before, you're behind the black curtain, ready to take over from the previous speaker, and all of a sudden, a disgusting large sewer rat crawls across the stage. The previous speaker starts screaming and shouting and jumping around. The crowd is getting unsettled. What's going on? Whew. It's okay. For whatever weird reason, we knew this might happen. So we made sure that there was pest control on the side just in case to sweep up the problems. Crisis kind of averted. We kind of maintained calm. But now it's our turn. So we go out there and we start to give our speech. And let's say a myriad of things could happen. Maybe people aren't paying attention. You knew that might happen. So you went in ahead of time and you taped 10 $1 bills under random chairs, told everyone to check under their chairs and saying that 10 of them are richer just by listening to you. And now everyone is captivated. They want to know exactly what you have to say. And now that everyone is staring at you, you get really nervous and your mind goes blank. It's okay. We knew that would happen. So we made sure we brought a little cue card to get us back on track. Now, let's say the speaker system goes out. Is an IT ready for there? What if a bat flies into the room? How are you going to keep their attention? What if a fire drill goes off? What if you lose your voice? What if your plane gets delayed? These are all different scenarios that can be a little crippling if we think they'll happen. But if we go through this fire drill and know exactly how we're going to react, it will help us remain calm and keep our stay composed. And this is very important for our confidence moving forward. To kind of relate this to athletics, I have to do this all the time because if I go out there on the world stage and I get ready to put my goggles on and they snap off my face, it's okay because I've got 3 extra pairs in my pocket just in case. And I've got 3 extra caps. Now, what if I dive into the pool and my goggles fill with water so I can't see in my race? That's never fun. But honestly, it's okay because my eyelids don't control the strength to the rest of my body, and I know exactly how many strokes I need to take. I know where the wall is, and if I run into a wading rope, I just keep swimming. But there are going to be things that happen through our presentations or any kind of performance that we do that are going to distract us and take us off course. But if we practice this fire drill of going through it again and again, it's going to be second nature to know how we're going to recover and maintain our composure. And so as you kind of saw earlier, many times my dogs have come and interrupted, so much so that they deserve their own slide in my slideshow. And so that's one quick thing in my own fire drill of saying, hey, this is going to be distraction, just to let everyone know, but I'll let you fall in love with how adorable they are so you don't get angry. But going through a fire drill like this is very important moving forward to try and become more confident in what you're about to do. So to go back to the slides, the next one is negative thought replacement. So anything that can go wrong will go wrong is Murphy's Law. And being able to visualize overcoming every single problem is part of the fire drill visualization technique. But what if there's just one pesky little thought that keeps entering your mind and kind of crippling your confidence, like, I don't want to mess up. This is one of the most horrific moments of my life, just in that moment. But I've learned so much from that split second. But after this, I continued to really struggle swimming for about 6 months after the Olympics because I kept having that thought, I don't want to mess up. I don't want the crowd to stare. I don't want to feel like I'm disqualified. I don't want to be the only one jumping out of the pool by myself. And I had to realize very quickly that you cannot allow your past fears to affect your present confidence. Every time I go out there, I know once again that the pool is just as long. The water is just as wet. If I have a lane, I have a chance and I have an opportunity to show the world what I have to do. But still, if that negative thought won't quite go away, the next thing we need to do is learn how to replace it. So there are 3 ways that I've found that can help, but they're not all the same efficiency. So the first one that I don't think is very effective is a double negative. If you were to change that thought of, I am not going to mess up. Because if you tell yourself you're not going to mess up is still in your thoughts and it's going to be looping through your head. The second one is one that tends to be the easiest one to do, and that's cushioning the failure. where you tell yourself you're going to be fine no matter what happens. No problem, no consequences. Now, I think this particular method of cushioning the failure is very good for two instances: Little League soccer games and first dates. Just go out there, have some fun, no consequences, you don't have to see them again. But if you want to create something powerful to replace your negative thoughts, you need to come up with a powerful mantra. So this mantra can be a quote that is very special to you, or it can be 3 I am statements. It can be multiple things. I prefer the 3 I am blank statements. This is very, very powerful for me. So my first rule with this is to create something that you can't debunk in your head right away. So when I was in college, right after the Olympics, I started having those negative thoughts, and my coach would look at me and say, Breeja, you are power. You are speed. You're the best person for this race. Go out there and get the job done. And he would say again and again until it really sunk in. And I loved the verbiage that he used, because when he said I was power, I knew I was strong. He didn't say you're the strongest woman in the world, because right away I would just say, no, I'm not. But he said I was power. So I knew I was strong. He didn't say I was the fastest woman in the world, because right away I would think, no, I'm not. But he said, you are speed. So I knew I was fast. And he said I was the best person for this race to go out there and get the job done. I wanted to make him proud. So this powerful mantra got me through a lot of races and kind of being in my head about it. So let's look at another scenario. Let's say you are afraid of speaking up in a meeting because you don't feel like anyone will respect your opinion or want to hear from you. That can be crippling, and that can kind of derail your career because your confidence is lacking in that part. So if going into the meeting every single day, someone came up to you and looked you straight in the face and said, you're in that room for a reason. Your opinion matters very much, and they need to hear it. If someone said that to you every single day, I'm assuming eventually you would come up with enough confidence to start believing it and speaking up in the meetings. So try to understand what those negative thoughts you're having are so that you can learn how to replace them. One of my favorite ways to do this is, if you have some kind of negative thought that's kind of derailing your day, write it down on a piece of paper in all of its glory. It may be extremely self-deprecating or very mean to think to yourself, but write it down so you can actually see it. And then put it away for an hour or two, maybe a day, and then come back to it when you're in a more rational mindset and calm down, and then read that statement or thought as if someone else were saying it. And then you're able to kind of give advice to that person a little bit easier. When you can detach yourself emotionally from that thought, it's a little bit easier to solve that problem. So to kind of recap it, think of that negative experience and then write 3 I am statements to build that powerful mantra to get that going. But if you can condition yourself to replace it right away, it makes a very, very big difference moving forward. If you have that, but you're still having a hard time getting started, you might be lacking a lot of motivation. So I believe that fear feeds procrastination, and this can be a big problem in all of us, especially during the pandemic right now. And so one of the ways I kind of got through a lot of different procrastinating instances is by asking myself why 5 times. Now, the way I like to do this, I have 2 rules. The first rule is you have to answer in a positive direction every single time. The second one is go answer them one at a time. So for example, I am a big scaredy cat when it comes to cold water. True story. I will go to practice 10 minutes earlier just so I can stare at the pool because I really don't want to jump in. It's not the swimming part that scares me. It's just the actual cold water on my skin. It freaks me out every single time for the past 10 years, every single time. So I really have to gear up to try and jump in, but I'll have to ask myself, why should I jump in the water? It's cold. I'll think, okay, well, I should jump in the water because I want to get faster. All right. Why do you want to get faster? Because I want to go to the Olympics. Fair enough. Why do you want to go to the Olympics? Because I want to create a bigger international platform to talk to more people, to show them about their goals outside of the athletic aspiration. But okay, why do you want to talk to more people and share this knowledge? I kind of shared it before that I believe that there are a lot of opportunities out there that are incredible. And we don't all get every single one of those incredible opportunities, but if we work really hard, we can find one and make it work for us. And if we all were able to do that, what a better place it would be. especially for the children. If you can teach children that lesson, the next generation will be much better well off. So I'm going to jump in the water and swim hard for the kids. Now, sometimes that works. But other times I'm rather cranky and the water's very cold and I think it's just going to turn me blue. So I'll do it again. Why should you jump in the water? Because I want to make more money at competitions. Why do you want to make more money at competitions? Because I want to save up so I can buy a home. Why do you want to be a homeowner? Because I want a more stable, financial, secure future for my future kids. And why is that important? Because I really don't want them to collect aluminum cans to go to college. That was my struggle. I know they'll struggle, but I don't want them to have mine. So I'm going to work very hard right now so they don't have to. And that'll do it for me. That'll get me in the water really quick. But I've gone through the why technique in so many different ways, whether why I should do the dishes, why I should send the emails. What this exercise does, if done correctly, is it really just helps find that intrinsic fire and that motivation to get these things done. And you can have such a huge ripple effect in so many of them. So I have two really fun examples for you. One of them, I was working with a young man and he informed me that he wanted to learn how to be funny. And I asked him, okay, why do you want to learn how to be funny? He said, well, when I go to the bars, I want to make the women laugh. I said, okay, why? Why do you want to make women laugh? He said, well, as you can see, I'm not a very good looking person. So maybe if I make them laugh, they'll like me enough to want to date me. I thought, okay. Everyone likes a funny person. Fair enough. Why do you want women to date you? He said, well, I'd like to get married someday. Why do you want to get married? Because I want to have kids. Why do you want children? Because I want to teach those little rascals how to be funny. And I thought that was such a cute little circle, that something that seemed kind of small, like wanting to watch more comedy shows to learn jokes, actually kind of went into this little futuristic vision of his of teaching his kids how to be funny. And so that was a fun one. The more serious one that kind of hits home to a lot of people is I was working with a 62-year-old woman and she was lovely. And she said, Breeja, I want to start exercising every day. And I thought an Olympian could motivate me to. I said, okay, why do you want to exercise every day? She said, well, I'd like to age well like my mother. I said, oh, we all want to age well like your mother, but why do you want to age well? She said, well, I don't want to move into a nursing home. And that was pretty deep, pretty quick. And I thought, okay, well, I understand and I agree with you, but that's going in a very negative and scary direction. How can you flip that to go to the positive? She said, okay, well, I'd like to stay in my own home for the rest of my life. I said, okay, why do you want to stay in your own home? And she kept digging through the whys, that she wanted to keep her things. She wanted to travel when she wanted to. She wanted to eat whatever she wanted to and when she wanted to and have that freedom and live independently. And it kind of all went down to working out for 30 minutes every day. And when you start to dig through those whys and find those deeper intrinsic reasons of why you should do that, it makes it a lot easier moving forward. But what if you're overwhelmed with the time frame? This is psychological endurance, and we're almost done. Hang in there with me. You might be overwhelmed with this presentation and how long it is, but we're almost done. So I started to think that this psychological endurance that we're all going through right now has been heightened with COVID. And so I really wanted to look into how to kind of get through this overwhelmed feeling. And I found that ultra marathon runners will run 100-mile races at one time. And I thought that was phenomenal, but how did they do it? I looked into it and I found out they do this thing called chunking, where they will be at the starting line and they won't think about the end. They won't think about the middle. They'll just find something that's 300 meters away, like a tree, and focus on that tree and run to it fully engaged. And when they get there, they'll find a cactus and they'll run to that cactus. And then they'll find a stump and run to that stump. But they run the entire 100-mile race, 300 meters at a time, staying fully engaged and focused in that one activity. Now, this takes a lot of practice. This is a very difficult mental muscle to encourage and strengthen because it does take a lot of focus. So how can we learn how to chunk up your goals? I believe that your decision-making mental muscle gets fatigued the quickest. Like when you work a very hard day, maybe a 12-hour day at work, and when you go home, you don't want to think about what you're going to eat. because your decision-making mental muscle is fried. You want someone else to make that decision for you. So learning how to make decisions for future you is going to make things a lot easier. So I suggest making a tree graph where at the very top, you write your ultimate goal and then separate it into 3 different categories. You have your nutrition, your recovery, and your work. And to kind of spread it out a little bit more, looking at your nutrition, you have your food, your water, and the no-nos. What do you want to stay away from? And we'll kind of dig more into this one right now. But looking at your water, you should be waking up in the morning and have a big glass of water first thing, because you just went 6 to 10 hours without drinking anything and your body's dehydrated. So do yourself a very, very big favor with a small act of drinking a big glass of water first thing in the morning, and it will actually get you one small step closer to your ultimate goal. And that was the easiest decision to make of the day. And then looking at your food, what kind of nutritional guidelines do you want to follow in particular? Because we all have different body types, we're from different countries, so understanding what works best for you is very important. And that also goes into the no-nos. So I personally am a sugar addict. It's a very, very bad thing. If I go 2 weeks without sugar, I turn into a very cranky monster. So once I get kind of over that hump, I'm okay. But if I have one cookie, forget about it. The entire house of sugar is going to be gone. So I know that it's important that I go to the grocery store full so I don't give in to the temptations. And so during my training for my ultimate goal of making my next Olympic team, I'll stay away from processed sugar, fried foods, and alcohol, which isn't always easy to do because all of my family members and friends will indulge in all of these niceties, but I have to stay away from them because I am very determined with that goal. But when looking at your nutritional guidelines that you want to follow, try to think about what's going to make you feel more productive throughout the day. So if you are skipping breakfast, so you're anxious and hungry towards lunch, it's going to be hard to remain focused. And then when you get to lunch, you have a big meal because you're so hungry, and then you become sluggish and tired. It's going to remain hard to stay focused through the end of the day. So looking at it, what's going to help you feel satisfied and invigorated throughout the day? And then looking at your recovery, this is probably my favorite, take a look at your sleep. How many hours are you getting a night? Your sleep cycle lasts about an hour and a half long. So if you try and track it by that, you can see if you can wake up at the end of the sleep cycle to feel more invigorated. So I try to get 9 hours of sleep a night. Doesn't always work that way, to be very honest, but that's my sweet spot. And I know that when I do that, I feel great the next day. The next is stretching. You should treat your muscles like you treat your teeth. If you're brushing your teeth every single day, you should be stretching your muscles as well. You don't have to do it at the same time, but treating your muscles like you treat your teeth is a very good reference point. Because if you're sitting down for 12 hours at a time in a desk, your hip flexors are going to get very tight, which is going to make your back hurt eventually. And so all these little problems can be solved with some light stretching throughout the day. And going a step further, if you use a foam roller to roll out your muscles, or a tennis ball, or some kind of self-massage, massaging out your muscles is like flossing your teeth. It just helps keep them extra squeaky clean. And then anything else, whether it be meditating or any other personal thing you like to do to help your personal recovery, you should do for yourself, because you have this incredible machine that you're going to take care of for the rest of your life. And if you want it to go fast, you have to fuel it and treat it right. So make sure you treat yourself every once in a while in that recovery. And then, of course, the work. This is what we're all capable of doing because we do it every single day. But we have the mental work and the physical work. Now, I put these question marks here because this really is up to you. What is important for you to get done? I would suggest on the physical side, this is all of the daily objectives that you have to go through with work. And you should have this so detailed out so you don't have to make those decisions later. All the way to having 2 pens on your desk, one for writing and one for smiling. And then on the mental side, just always keep in mind that these are muscles. Your mind is full of mental muscles. And if you stop working on them, they're going to grow weaker. And that's okay, because you just have to be patient enough to continue exercising them so they grow stronger. But think of them as the same way as you would look at the muscles in your body going to the gym. If you haven't gone to the gym for a while, just go when you can to start off that process, but don't go to the heaviest weights you can see, because you're going to hurt yourself, right? Be very patient and kind with the progress that you make so you continue to grow a very strong foundation for both the mental and physical work. So when all of this is done, make sure that you are reading and reacting to the situations. When things happen that you're not ready and fully prepared for, like a world pandemic, you have to be able to stop, take a deep breath, evaluate, and adjust as you go. If you're able to do this as life throws things your way and maintain your composure, it only elevates your own caliber of success.